What is up, Nerds Nation? Welcome to the F Nerds podcast. Thank you for joining us. My name is Nick Denizio, and sitting across from me is my man, Martin Moreno.
Boom.
Today we are reviewing Greyhound from director Aaron Schneider and starring Tom Hanks, who also wrote the screenplay. The film is based on the 1955 novel The Good Shepherd by C.S. Forester. Greyhound was set to be released in theaters before being sold exclusively to Apple Plus due to the coronavirus shutting theaters down for the foreseeable future. Before we get started, please make sure you guys click that like button and subscribe to our YouTube page. And if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please check back each week as we try to upload new content for you guys to listen to. Again, just keep in mind we are talking spoilers about Greyhound, so if you have not watched it yet, please go watch it and then come back to check out this video. All right, Martin, it's Tom Hanks. It's a war movie.
War movie.
This was supposed to be a big theatrical release for the summer, and obviously that's not happening. So with it being on the small screen, how did you feel about Greyhound?
Well, in regards to that whole notion of like the theatrical release, I think certain moments would have been cool to see on the big screen, but for the most part, I'm perfectly fine seeing it at home.
Gotcha.
On our curved,
on our nice curved TV.
On our nice curved TV.
So in terms of positives for the film, what'd you think about it?
Positives for the film, I thought Tom Hanks obviously always does a good job. America's dad, so to speak. Other than that, I thought there were some pretty cool fight sequences. Especially towards the end, there's a really kind of a little, I guess, your blood pumping, nerve-wracking fight action set piece, whatever. But other than that, it was fine. Yeah, right. It was just like, it was a fine movie. It was like, I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. It was fine.
I'm actually kind of in the same exact boat. The movie, while it has these very like tense like action set pieces, there's a really nice because the whole movie, it's basically like these these boats that are chasing after like these Nazi U-boats, these submarines, and that's kind of the whole point of the movie is they're just like trying to blow these guys up. So there's a big like cat and mouse element to this whole
which is constant,
and that's the thing. Like once it kind of starts, it never lets up, which is one of the things I really liked about it.
Agreed.
It kind of holds like this tension the entire time.
I'm kind of getting my shit back together, but yes, I should agree. That's something that I want to talk about. Yes, it's you pretty much start off. You kind of get a sense of who this guy is, what his intentions in, what's waiting for him back home, what maybe not waiting for him back home.
Right.
And then once you start, and then it never kind of lets go. You're kind of going through it through a specific time frame. And you're just following these people going along, and it just doesn't really let up. It's just constant, right?
Right. The other thing too is, yes, Tom Hanks does give a really solid performance, and I do like his crew. That's like that. The crew itself is also part of my negative, but I do like them. I like the cast they have for these characters, and I just enjoyed like the kind of banter and the camaraderie that they have throughout the film.
Except they had a Russian spy on their crew. If you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, I do know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
That's a little Devs reference for you guys.
Reference. Fucking Devs.
And then, yeah, man, I mean, I guess that this would be a transition into some of the negatives, but like, other than the action and Tom Hanks and, I mean, I would say the acting in general.
What's like a prolific cable network? Not like HBO.
AMC?
Yeah, I would say maybe. I felt like maybe it was like a AMC original movie with like a big budget, so to speak.
Yeah,
like almost like made for TV, but had a little bit of money.
Because while it has that cinematic quality to it, it just feels very like it's just like it's kind of plain.
Yeah, and it also kind of and it's also just
there's not much meat to it too. It's I feel like it's a very like what's the proper word for it? Like it's almost like we have like the outline for this movie, but there's no fine details. There's no like excess.
Yeah.
And I mean good kind of excess. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of where my issues go into with in terms of like the characters of the crew, is that while you kind of get a good idea of who Tom Hanks' character is, there's absolutely zero character development for anybody else on the crew.
They have like a few moments of like kind of capturing that sort of nerveness or like that nerve-wracking moments of war when the guy's like stuttering or when he's sneezing or whatever.
Yes.
Like, they have a few good moments here or there, but to me it just felt like a little bit of like an expensive made for TV movie kind of speak with and then there were obviously some moments that were pretty theatrical, but for the most part I was just like, yeah, even like the certain times when they kind of cut away to show the time like what time it is, how much more hours to go.
Right.
Just felt flat.
Yeah.
And I was just like,
well,
okay.
That was why when we were done with it, I kind of said this felt like almost like the Diet Coke version of Dunkirk.
Yeah, the store brand value.
The store brand value of it. Because Dunkirk, while like for Dunkirk, I feel like some of the criticism against it, even though I don't necessarily agree with it, but I understand it, is that it lacks character development. You know, in terms of like some of its characters and everything, like you don't get a good sense of like who these people are, and they don't feel as fleshed out as something like Saving Private Ryan, for instance.
Right.
But what Dunkirk might lack in that, it makes up for in terms of its spectacle and how the sequences are filmed. And it's kind of the other thing with Greyhound. Greyhound is very CG heavy. Very CG heavy, to the point where it's extremely noticeable. And a lot of the CG isn't that great.
Very saturated too.
Very saturated.
So very washy.
That's where Dunkirk succeeds in the fact that everything a majority of it is practical in Dunkirk, whereas in here, a lot of it's green screened.
Right, and in regards to like Dunkirk, there are some similarities in regards to the movies both films take place over a certain period of time. Mm-hmm. Dunkirk, the structure is a little different because you're bouncing back and forth between time periods because no one loves to fuck with time.
Yeah.
So you're bouncing a little back and forth with time, but that's kind of focusing on more characters. Whereas to Greyhound, you're kind of really just mostly focused on Tom Hanks' character.
Right, and more the situation that they're in.
Right, yeah. So, and it's just like a one situation. It's just like them trying to escape the Nazi U-boats or whatever. Wait, right. Are they the U-boat or the Nazis the U-boat? Which one's the U-boat?
I think it was the submarines. Were like the Nazis, right? Because they were in subs.
Right, but then so the U-boat is Tom Hanks' boat.
Guys, we're not historic experts.
We are. I wasn't born in this country, so.
So I have no excuse.
I'll play that card.
But regardless, it's basically Tom Hanks is on this Navy ship and he's chasing after Nazi subs.
Well, they're chasing after him.
Isn't it like both?
Because he's like carrying shit. He's carrying shit to the chip cheerio, like he's carried to Alfred Pennyworth. He's carrying it to that guy.
That scene was ridiculous.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's more of like kind of like I said. So in regards to Dunkirk, both kind of like constrained time periods, following these people over certain time periods. Dunkirk is a little differently because you're bouncing back and forth and focusing on different characters. This you're kind of focusing on one, and you're just going through it.
Yes.
It's just you're just kind of following them as through this time, this period of time. And like, yeah, it's
very vanilla.
Yeah.
It's just very vanilla. And there's nothing that elevates it to that point where it's like, oh, this is fucking awesome. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't have those moments. Like, even though like the biggest compliment I'll give it is that regardless of the bad CG and everything else, is you really do feel that tension throughout majority of the movie, and that's its strength to me. Is the thing is, I also feel what I think is the strength and the weakness is that you get it fairly good somewhat early on, mm-hmm. but then you kind of just it kind of brings you to a certain state where you're just there, and then you kind of it's hard to like I guess you kind of get back into it towards the end when they're like dodging all these torpedoes and all these things are happening, but. I don't know. I just thought it, like you said, I just thought it was a vanilla film. I don't hate it. Yeah. I don't love it. Right.
I thought it was fine. But to me, it just felt like it just had a certain type of like made for TV quality about it, or like aesthetic about it, which I think which I just thought was fine.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
That was the other thing too, like with the ending, because the one of the things I did like is how there's a specific Nazi sub that Tom Hanks is kind of going after, or is chasing him, and like that's the one scene where there's a couple scenes where they're able to tap into the boat's communications.
Yeah, Dr. Armanzola.
And he's just taunting him the whole time. So I did like that. So there's like just this
playing
one sub.
mind games.
And I'm pretty sure the sub it's got that wolf symbol.
The gray
on it, right?
wolf.
The gray wolf. Yeah. So they're kind of the whole point they're building up this confrontation between the two. Mm-hmm. And I almost thought it would have been somewhat of a benefit to actually see the Nazis on that sub, to kind of give more of like a villainy aspect to it.
Right.
Like I thought it would have helped the movie to kind of seeing like the other side of it, which is why when you kind of get to the end and these two kind of come to a head, while the confrontation has some good moments, I feel like it kind of fizzles out a little bit. Like you want a certain level, regardless of whether or not it's historically accurate. I think for the movie to make it a more have more heft to it, you need some sort of spectacle. And I feel like it just kind of like their confrontation just sort of fizzles out, and it's I guess that's it. Like that's where I was left. I was left being like, oh, that's it. That's all.
And
you know what I mean?
That's like one of the few moments where you kind of really get a good sense of like tension. And you're kind of like a little bit gripping. Like when they're trying to dodge torpedoes, how he's making like
these ridiculous turns.
Yeah, cut right, cut left, and then like it goes to show his knowledge and his like in regards to the situation, how to handle it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like you're leading up to that, like you said. I love, like you said, the mind games that they were playing, coming in over the intercoms and like pretty much showing them like the Armanzola. Then you had the dire wolf on the submarine, which is pretty cool, like mixing all these genres.
Yeah.
But yeah, at the end of the day, I was just like, okay.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I would agree with you. And it's also for Tom Hanks. I think he's solid. It's nothing crazy. It's not like it's like up there with his best performances. I just think he's good. I mean, it's kind of a similar thing to with Charlize Theron in The Old Guard. It's like they've been in these types of movies before, so that it's almost like they just fall right in and they immediately just immerse themselves in this, and you 100% buy them in these roles.
You almost think that they're not trying.
It's exactly right.
It's just like
it just comes so natural to them.
Yeah, it's just like, all right, cool, I'm on set, boom, let's do this. I know what to do. I'm such a professional. Like I already know how to handle this, especially this kinds of roles. So like, yeah, just come in, look pretty, get my check, and go home.
Right.
Really but they do a good job.
Yeah, I thought you did a good job, but it's nothing. This isn't like Castaway Tom Hanks or anything like that. It's not like one of those.
Or like you said, the final Captain Phillips scene.
Yeah,
he's like, is that your blood?
And he's just acting.
Yeah, and he's
circles around people. It's insane. But yeah. So
it was fine.
It was just fine.
It was fine.
It's kind of the sentiment.
It was fine. Yeah.
Just put that in the poster.
Yeah,
it was fine.
It was fine. Sure. I mean, I guess.
Sure.
Pretty much that's the consensus.
I mean, I guess. Sure. So with all that said, Martin, how do you score Greyhound?
I would give this a I'm gonna go 6.6.
Wow. I'm literally in the same boat.
Really?
Same exact score.
6.6?
I had it in my head. I'm like 6.6. So a 6.6 for Greyhound.
Well, get out of my head.
Have you guys seen this yet? What'd you think about it? If you agree with us or disagree with us or just want to talk about it, please comment on this video. And as always, follow us on YouTube, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Anchor, and every other which way where we are posted, I guess is what I'm trying to say to you.
Yeah, if you want to listen to it, you can go to Spotify, Anchor, whatever. If you want to look at our faces, you can go to the YouTubes. Some people have actually been asking about that, the difference between the two, and we'll eventually kind of clarify a little bit later, but yeah.
In terms of what?
In terms of like what's the difference between the two?
Between
the Spotify platforms and like the YouTubes.
Oh, what's the difference?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's just you can.
One is audio, and the other one's got like the YouTubes have like a little bit more stuff.
Well, yeah, because of how we do our editing, and we add all that extra.
The production team.
That extra flavor.
Thing 1, thing 2, and Bob over there.
Yeah. There's always we try to do.
Make it more fun.
Make it more well, and just even with like the audio aspects of it, we like to add some sound bites and things here and there, and then with the video stuff, it's a little bit more visual. Where we're able to relate to certain things that we're talking about, references and stuff like that. We always try to change up just a little bit so that there's a uniqueness to both that makes you want to check out both.
Right, because I mean, like, let's be real. Not every single person is like a movie fan, so
right.
So yeah, I guess what we're trying to say is like whatever we record, whatever we record, we essentially give it to the production team.
Right.
They take like a day or two to like clean it up, edit, make it sound somewhat professional, take out all the ums and shit, and then they put it on Apple, Anchor, whatever, with a little bit of sound bites here and there to like make it fun.
Right.
So, and then whatever you see on the YouTube, which takes a couple more days to edit. Maybe short. It depends. If Bob's being an asshole, then it'll take a little longer. If he does his fucking job, then it'll come out sooner. But yeah, that just like you said has a little bit more. We just try to make it more fun because not every single person is a movie fan. So we try to make it just more fun, more relatable, just better to watch. And we add some clips, some more meat, some flavor. So if you don't like it, the Spotify portion of it. Then come check out on YouTube. If you don't like the YouTube, then thanks for stopping by. I guess we'll see you later. But yeah, that's kind of like the difference between the two.
Right. So with that said, guys, thank you again for joining us, and we'll catch you on the next one.
All right, bye.